Welcome back. I'm Mr. Rankin. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 7, Foreign Exchange. So let's get right into it. First of all, the interesting thing, it's a huge, huge market, and it's growing very rapidly, as you can see. It's over $3 trillion per day is traded on the foreign market, and it's tripled in the last, 10, 15 years. Enormous market. $3 trillion a day, largest market in the world. So it's important to understand what are some of the factors that determine an FX rate. Well, the first factor is any relative price differences in purchasing power. So, for example, they use the example of a Big Mac should basically, when you adjust for foreign currency, should basically cost the same every place around the world. And where it doesn't, those prices in terms of FX will be adjusted properly. The second thing is interest rate and inflation, right? So interest rates will cause my currency in theory to go up because an investor's where they can get 10% return on their money is going to invest in that currency as opposed to a currency that might only have a 1% interest rate. Inflation is the purchasing power. So if I have a high inflation rate in my country, basically my money's being devalued. So over time, it'll weaken my currency or my currency will go down. Third factor is productivity and balance of payments. Normally, if I have high productivity in my country and I'm getting better and improving my balance of payments, my currency will become stronger or go up in value. There are some exchange rate policies, even though this one doesn't play too big anymore because almost everyone floats their currency. Very few countries can fix rate their currency. And lastly, just like the stock market or any other market, sometimes investor psychology will play a play. There's some currencies that are thought to be sort of safe havens. So these are some of the factors. If I had to pick one, it would be the interest rate and the inflation rate. Okay. Now, we've had a couple monetary funds, international monetary funds that have tried to, in the old days, we were on what was called the gold standard. Everything was tied to gold. That was replaced by, in 1944, was the Bretton Woods, which basically tied everything to the U.S. dollars. And since 1973, we've been in what's called a post-Bretton Woods era, where every single country's currency floats against other currencies. So when you purchase currency on the international market, you have, in order to buy one, you have to be selling another currency. In other words, I would trade, if I'm buying euros, I'm trading euros for US dollars, etc. Now, there are a couple strategies. There's two main ones. One is financial. So there's lots of investors who study this and study the future and study the interest rates, and they're trading in the futures market simply to try to make a profit. There's also non-financial reasons. So if you think about it, if I'm a international company like Walmart and I have all sorts of money and all sorts of currencies coming in, I don't want to tell my stockholders we made or didn't make our earnings targets because of FX changes. So what a lot of companies will do is what's called hedging. They'll sort of bet both ways so that any FX impact is negated. Next bullet talks about what happens when you have a strong appreciating dollar. So if the dollar is becoming more valuable, the pros is imports become cheaper and U.S. tourism travel abroad becomes easier because your dollar buys more. The con is your exports now become more expensive, and any tourists coming into your country, your tourism just became more expensive. That's if the dollar's appreciating. If the dollar's weakening, the pros are kind of the flip. The pros are exports are now cheaper. It's now cheaper for foreign tourists to come in your area. The cons are the higher price of imports and more expensive U.S. tourism abroad. Have a good week.